Welcome back to Antholz as we prepare for the start of the men's 20-kilometre. One or two technical problems being experienced at the moment. Apologies for that, but we'll stay with it as long as we can and hopefully get the live pictures through in just a minute. Sven Fischer there, Mike, going through his normal routine. The skis selected by now, the ones he's going to race on. But a man like Fischer will travel with, what, 18 to 20 pairs of skis and probably have 7 or 8 of them at least prepared for each race.
Indeed, and that's a huge operation. Tom Clemens we're looking at now, preparing his rifle. It's a huge operation to get your skis, and on a daily basis. We're up at altitude, it's dry snow here, and you really do need to have many different bases.
Now, one thing I've noticed looking through the records of the races here at Antholz, and lots of unusual names winning here. I guess if we go back to the World Championships 10 years ago, Thomas Sikora, a surprise win in the individual for Poland. Derry Zemlya, Rojkov, Mesetic, Drachev, all names that have won here in Antholz. And it's not just, you know, the Bjorndalens, the Forsbergs, the Poirets who have had their victories here.
I think you're absolutely right. You know, it's the different names that come into the fore in this area.
They're the World Cup rankings. Poiret, a good margin clear now. 62 points clear of Sven Fischer and 99 points clear of Ole Einar Bjorndal. And of course the season is still young, only race 13 of 27, so it could all change. But it's Poiret's consistency that has put him to the top of the table. Good to see Jay Hakkinen knocking on the door of the top 20 now. Well, a very good morning. Welcome to Ruhpolding, Antholz, in the very north of Italy for round 6 of the Biathlon World Cups. Race 13, and this only the second individual race of the season. 20 kilometres the distance. Rico Gross, the great German, is going to get us underway. I wonder how he feels about drawing bib number 1 for today's race.
I think you'll feel good because the women have been out training this morning. It was quite soft, but they have compacted the tracks down in their hour and a half's training.
Well, as is nearly always the case here in Antholz, good weather, nice warm sunshine, but it's created this afternoon wind, which could give the athletes a few problems. But one of the features about Antholz is the conditions at the start of the race are nearly never the same as they are at the end. So we could have a few problems here today.
Well, that's right, and you can see in the background, back end of the range, it's a huge indication of the strength of wind as they zeroed only half an hour ago.
Tom Clements of Great Britain, starting number 3, always elects to go in Group 1, 28-year-old from Dorchester. And I guess aiming for a top 50, top 60 would keep him happy. Top 50 would be brilliant, but he has got to shoot 20 out of 20 to achieve that.
Well, Tom has been really disappointed so far with the season. He had a great summer, he's feeling confident, but now I believe he's going to start improving. He's going to be making the pursuits top 60, so good luck to him today. Good technique, he skis technically very well.
And looking strong on the skis. It's really the shooting that's been the problem. And of course the British athletes, 3 of them competing here today. Mark Walker goes 61, and then Joe Brooks goes a little later on at 98. And they'll race here in Antholz and then head, I guess, back to Ruhpolding for the British Championships.
Yes, a big race week for them starting on Sunday. Should I say, they will hope to be racing here in the Pursuit on Sunday. If not, they'll be in Ruhpolding for the British Championships.
Which run for, what, the following 2 weeks?
Following 2 weeks, a lot of races, 10 races in about 14 days, so a busy period.
Ilmar Brisis just heading out of the stadium, start of his 20,000 metre ski line, 22nd in the World Cup standings at the moment. Looks like the same dog. It's Uschi Diesel's dog again.
Well, they want to get that dog off the shooting range because Rico will be in about 8 minutes, and they really doesn't want to have that dog in front of his sights.
There's a big military range just up the valley from here. Beautiful area. We're only a couple of snowball throws from the Austrian border, in fact, if we head north from here. If we go south, we get to Dobiaco initially, and then if you go a little further south, you get into the heart of the Dolomites and Cortina d'Ampezzo. That's what, I guess, an hour 45 from here. But a stunning area in Europe. Well worth a visit. And the snow conditions at this altitude are not too bad.
Not too bad at all. An inch, it's about 3 centimetres of snow fell last night, just to put a little fresh powder snow on the tracks. But But they prepare well here. They've had man-made snow down since the beginning of November, which gives it a good base. Anytime you get snow, it will lie on top of this.
So the first individual race since they were in Oslo at the beginning of the season, and as we see here from Rico Gross, the pace a little bit steadier.
Yeah, the 20 kilometres, you have to pace this one. You can't go ballistic from the start line. And yeah, Rico does look as if he's taking it fairly pedestrian, but this is a steep hill as well.
Snow conditions a little better than they were in Ruhpolding. We had a problem of the freeze-thaw effect in Ruhpolding, creating very, very hard conditions under a small layer of powder snow. Frank Ulrich, not quite sure what he's discussing, but intensely involved with some of the other German coaches. As we cue in on number 10, that's Wolfgang Rottmann, a man from Altenmarkt in Austria. Hasn't had too far to come, so he headed home after Ruhpolding, a couple of nights at home, and here he is in antholz-anterselva. 31 now, and a little bit of a one-hit wonder, Mike. One race he's won in his lifetime, but it was an individual, and it was a world championship, so at least he can say he's a former world champion.
Absolutely, and you can carry that for the rest of your life with pride. His prone shooting's good. He's 92% hit rate so far, but his stand seems to let him down, 70%. And we did notice that in the relay last week in Ruhpolding, where he did 2 or 3 penalties in the standing.
Unfortunately, we missed out on Jay Hakkinen, who started number 9 for the Americans, and Hakkinen's not having a bad season, in 21st position in the World Cup standings, going through at 1.5 kilometres. A very, very positive start from Tom Clements, 3:38, only 3 seconds down on Rico Gross. That may be just a little bit too quick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fast time indeed. And I did say earlier, you need to pace this one as we pick up on Poiré warming up.
Just adjusting the cuff on his sleeve, Mike. Now, did you have any special techniques or wear any special clothing just to secure that band on the left arm?
I made sure that I had it velcroed. The arm strap was velcroed on, and I always had it on the same point, so I put some ink on my ski suit to have it in the exact same place every time.
Grigorev of Russia heading out of the stadium as we focus in once again on the race starter. Rico Gross, of course. Now, Rico's won 2 individual races in his career, but he hasn't won since 1998 in this format. And like Sergei Rozhkov, they're starting to think that it's not worth training for the individual simply because there aren't enough of them in the season.
Yes, that's true. Rozhkov was saying that he's beginning to dislike the longer race because, yeah, it's difficult to train for us. Kruglov sets out. I think Kruglov's going to have a good day, actually.
I'm not so sure. I think if you should plot a graph of his performances this year, he was right up at the peak in week number 2, and he started to fade and fade and fade, and he just looked tired, didn't race or didn't even start in the pursuit in Ruhpolding 4 days ago. So I'm just concerned that he's starting to tire, and if there's one race that's going to expose him, it's going to be this individual at altitude.
Indeed, if you're not in good form and you've come from the lower altitudes. But the thing in Kruglov's favour is his shooting. He's a 90% stand, 90% prone, and that's the 3rd best shot of the season so far. But yes, his form hasn't been ideal. Rico still looks like he's taking it quite steady here.
Yeah. Probably not a bad idea. It will get tougher and tougher as this race goes on. Egil Kjelland warming up for the Norwegian team, who've had so much success over the last 2 years, but in particular enjoying good results in Ruhpolding, and that's something we're getting used to. The Norwegians going well there, winning the relay and then getting a 1st and 2nd in the pursuit last Sunday. Now, good odds being offered on Raphael Poiré, 6-1 for a win. Would you go for that, Mike, or would you go for one of the outsiders?
I would go for one of the outsiders today. I feel that Chepikov is going to have a good one today. I also feel that Kruglov will have a good one today. Of course, Rico and Poiré and Beyond Allen, they're always going to do well. We see that every day from them. They can bring themselves up to what would be rated as a top-class performance almost every day of asking.
As Raphael Poiré of France, the World Cup leader, starts, keep your eye on the flags around the stadium. Now, the range here in Antolz, built at the head of the valley, and the wind coming up the valley, it comes into the range area and whistles round what is a sort of semicircle, almost a natural amphitheatre. And it is very difficult indeed to predict the conditions. There you see it's blowing from right to left at the moment, but it varies from one side of the range to the other, so they've got to be particularly alert in this individual. The format, Mike, slightly different to the shorter races.
Absolutely. Each time you come in, it's 5 rounds again in the lying down position. You ski a further 4 kilometers, 5 in the stand, and so on another 2 times. But the big significant factor today is for every time you make a mistake squeezing that trigger, you get 1 minute penalty for each target missed, and that's expensive.
Well, each minute or each penalty is going to relate to almost exactly 2%. The winning time will be around 51, 52 minutes. Each shot, another minute added, so it's 2% added to your time. And there's only one man out there who skis more than 2% faster than anyone else, and that's Lars Berger at the moment, or Ole Einar Bjorndalen, if he can stay the distance. I'm not convinced he can, but if he can, he could be 2% quicker. So really, you've got to hit 19 out of 20 to be sure of having a chance.
That's a good summary of it indeed, but you know what, it's getting even windier, and I think that more and more, as it gets more windy, it plays more and more into the hands of Poiré. He's the ultimate focus man. When it's windy, make sure his mind is right, and he reacts well with the wind. He lets his rifle move, doesn't try to fight it too hard, and I think that's what you need to do. You don't want to be too tense on your rifle today. The big drop off before you go under the bridge, and then this is a climb now up into the range, so you get 15-20 seconds recovery, if you can call it recovery, and now you're working again as your pulse is going up to 5 below maximum, possibly 10 below maximum. Another factor here, that they've only had 1 day really, or 2 sessions actually training on this range since the move from Ruhpolding. So a lot of the less experienced athletes will not have managed to read the range so far.
Well, at least the sun is out, and it's really ideal conditions for the crowd. The wind adds a very interesting factor, maybe a chance for some of the Italians to come through. Interesting to see, Mike, that Tom Clements has actually skied that first loop quicker than Rico Gross, or certainly up to the early split point.
That's very impressive after 4 kilometers.
Well, we'll see how he gets on. He should be in fairly shortly to take his first shot. The wind calms for Rico Gross. So 1 minute already added to the time of Rico Gross, which is not the best of starts for a man who has the reputation of being the best shot on the tour. I think he's up in number 2 position at the moment, but certainly by the end of the season we suspect that he'll still be in the 90s, both for prone and standing.
Just looking at the results from last year, Rico actually only missed 1 shot in the whole 20 kilometer last year, placing him 3rd place. So he can't miss any more if he's to match that.
Now Poiré going through the first lap point at 1.5. 3:39. Mike, all the experienced, all the top skiers are taking it easy. It does make you worry a little for those less experienced who've gone off like the wind in pursuit of the quickest split time. But at this stage of the game, it means nothing.
That is so true. And the big factor, as we're picking up on the... didn't quite see the missed shot, but the big factor is you climb up for the first kilometre out of the range, which is hard. And you do need to pace that first kilometre.
very variable wind. That went from, well, we saw Rico Gross shooting at 0. British has a gust of 15 kilometers per hour going through. Not a bad shoot for Tom Clements. Mike missed one, I think it must have been, and he's got himself up into 3rd place, but not too far off the best at the moment. Sven Fischer, have a look at those handles on his stick. Just about the only man in the Tour that uses those. Now the T-bone stick, designed to use the stronger muscles at the back of the arm, the triceps, get better use out of them, but doesn't quite give you as much control over the stick. But he's stuck with them, and he hasn't done too badly. 4 wins already this season for Sven Fischer, but he lies 2nd in the World Cup standings.
Roshenkov looking past his sights, looking at the flags, trying to figure out which way to turn his sights. He's turning them anti-clockwise, so the wind must be from the right. Oh, it's really tripping him up. That's a disaster. 3 minutes before you've even skied 5 kilometers.
Well, that's an extra 1,200 meters added to his time effectively, and you're not going to give someone like some of his teammates like Kruglov, or I should say Vladimir Drachev, a lead of that and hope to catch them. It's a disastrous start, really depressing. Now what he's got to do is focus and make sure he hits the next 15.
But interestingly though, Patrick, Roshenkov skied 20 seconds faster than anybody coming in to shoot, and we probably will keep on mentioning the altitude because it's such a big factor, but if you come in too hard to this range, you really suffer. You cannot stop your heart thumping in your chest, which puts a lot of movement through the rifle. This is a long climb. It's very deceptive. If it appears the athletes are skiing slowly, it's a steep climb. It really is.
Now, Jay Häkkinen. Now, that is a dreadful start. The first 2 have gone wide.
The wind's horrific here right now.
He's just said, well, might as well shoot. I don't know what's going on. He's given up the ghost there. 4 misses for Häkkinen. I'm not convinced we're going to see him complete this one, and it may not be a bad idea to withdraw. He's not going to get any World Cup points at this rate. Maybe come in for the second pro, and if the same happens again, he might as well retire and save his energy for later in the week. Now, what can Rotman do? Is he going to be the first to go clear? He certainly is. Great shooting from Rotman, and who knows, we called him a one-hit wonder earlier on. Maybe this is going to be his second major success. That is a very promising start from the Austrian. 5 out of 5. He comes out with a good lead.
Now Poiré certainly looks to be more aggressive on the track. Good chance to watch his technique as the camera follows him up the hill. So efficient, upper body very stable, drops his weight there on the poles very briefly.
But it's a short push with the arms, Mike. Never really extends the arm past his waist. And partly that increases the tempo because your legs are trying to stay with the arms, but it also ensures that you get good work out of the legs.
Indeed, as Poiré, and here we see it in Fischer, as your arms spring forward, you use that upwards energy to press your leg, the final kick into the snow on your ski. It's using your energy the best possible way.
I don't think you can overstress the importance of the ski as well, Mike. If you've got a ski that suits you and it tracks well, it's so much easier to balance on it. If it's too stiff for you, or even more so if it's too soft for you, then the ski tends to spin out and you feel a bit like a 2-year-old giraffe having problems on an icy lake. It's so important to select the ski well.
The feeling of that ski is vital. It really does allow you to balance for longer.
Now here's someone who Mike thinks is going to do reasonably well today. Nikolai Krugloff started the season brilliantly, and that's a very promising start from him. So Belarus and Russia seem to have got the sights right, but kind conditions for Krugloff. He's struck lucky once so far. Chances of getting good conditions on all 4 shoots pretty small. 13 seconds the lead for Krugloff of Russia.
Well, I'm very, very happy to see Maciej Pokljuka in 2nd place. That's a respectable ski time. Look at the amount of time Kruglov's taking to figure out the wind. A lot of the other athletes, look, he's still watching the flags, stabilizing his position. He's still reading the wind. You have, and this is where Poiré today will be pretty good, because he won't let the shots go until he figures it out.
Down under the road and then back up into the stadium. It looks fairly flat, but it still keeps the heart rate up at around 170, 180 as he comes into the first shoot. He's got to start thinking about easing off now and get into that beautifully smooth action of his. And already Poiré having a look at the flags as he comes in, turns right along the range area. Egil Kjelland a little further on, going out for the first time. Not a bad start position for Kjelland of Norway. Now, do you get good vibes here, Mike, or do you think we're going to see a rare mistake from the Frenchman?
I get good vibes. I get a feeling he's in control. Looks like he's landing lucky with the wind. And there is an element of luck. You can come into the range, it can be 14, 15 meters a second. But right now it's about 2 meters a second.
Well, he certainly didn't spend as long as Krugloff preparing for the first shot.
We don't often see him move once he gets into his position. Slight movement, that's his alignment. He's adjusting his legs, his stomach on the mat.
He sensed a gust coming through and he was spot on. Well, that's a bit of a shame because he had ideal conditions. I think that's why he rushed early on, Mike, because he sensed the wind wasn't there. And then a gust came halfway through the shoot. He took his time, tried to assess exactly where the fall of shot was going to be, but it didn't pay off on that occasion. So 1 minute added to Poiré's time. He's still in the running, though. Grigoriev coming up to 5.5 kilometres. As we just have another look at Poiré. This is second shot is gone.
And I think these are the athletes who have the self-control to hesitate, to look above the sights, check out the wind. I'm not sure we'll see Lars Berger doing that. No disrespect to him.
Well, he falls into the same bracket as Frode Andersen. Very, very quickly indeed. But he shoots quickly, and his hit record not too good this season, but he's so fast that he still has a chance of winning. Norway's Lars Berger just heading out of the stadium here in Antholz as Thomas Sikora, a man who's had considerable success here in this stadium, settles for his first shoot.
Thomas is seeing his window of opportunity, quiet wind, and it's worked well.
Took full advantage of that. Silver in the World Championships last year for Sikora in the individual. He got third place in Oslo in the only individual we've had so far this year. So this is very much his discipline, and he has taken the lead. An impressive start from Sikora, and I think he'll be quietly pleased with what he's done, and certainly when he hears from his coaches that some of the big names are missing targets.
I wonder if Sven Fischer, as we watch him skiing up the hill, I wonder if he's thinking about the fact he won this race last year, the individual 20-kilometre Antholz. Must have a feel-good factor about that. He is so powerful, Sven Fischer.
That was a good example of how he keeps the weight over his hips, Mike. He doesn't lean forward too much, and he's dropping his body weight vertically as opposed to leaning forwards on the stick. So it's that much easier to recover the legs, although you do go through a phase where the leg has to work very hard to get the body up to its maximum height again. Hopefully we'll get another shot of Fischer on the track. Here comes Rico Gross in for his first stand shoot, alternating prone and standing in the individual, unlike the mass start and the pursuits.
The stand is slightly easier than the prone today. By that I mean on the very left-hand side of the range, the wind is much quieter because there's a big barrier on the left-hand side which shades you and your rifle from the range, from the wind.
Back on target for Rico Gross as we see Poiré coming up to 5.5. 1 minute, remember, added to his time, and he's going to come through in around 16.16, just ahead of Tom Clements of Great Britain. So good start from Poiré, solid enough. If he can clear the next 15 targets, he's still one of the favourites to take this, despite that early mistake. Now Brissis, rushed that 5 or 6 seconds in preparation for that first shot. A little too ambitious.
Well, Bridges is one of the few athletes whose stand shooting is on average better than his prone, but it didn't happen today.
Now Sven Fischer being watched, his time being taken. The wind conditions, Mike, slightly left to right, but not the strongest we've seen so far today, so he's got an opportunity here. Excellent start, very good indeed. A number of Germans have made the journey from Ruhpolding over Austria into the north of Italy and enjoying that one immensely. 11:41 the time. Fischer goes into fifth place, but he's only 16 seconds off the lead. That's a good performance from him because remember, he starts these long races in particular very, very steady, and he builds it up to a climax at around 17-18 Ks.
I think that's a sign of the many years of experience Sven has had on the World Cup Tour. Matthias Poklukka, he's missed his first target.
He was an excellent shot last year. Poklukka hasn't gone quite his way so far this year, but he's hit 9 out of 10 so far.
Matthias, his twin brother, they're identical, used to race on the World Cup Tour. He's retired now.
No, he needs a good run. Slovenian women doing very well this year, the likes of Brankovic up in the top 15 of the World Cup rankings. The Slovenian men not doing quite so well, but if Poklukka can get back on target, then I think we'll see him getting top 20 runs at some stage. Fischer, very, very intense indeed.
Out on the track, Patrick, Sikora was the fastest after the prone shoot, but a further 1.5 kilometres into the woods, he's lost 4 seconds to Kruglov.
So here comes Anstein Mukland, first of the big Norwegians to come in to shoot. Man who's done a fair amount of his training at Aviemore, Mike, with yourself, staying at Glenmore Lodge, taking full advantage of the excellent facilities up there.
Indeed, yes, the Sirdal Club came over 5-6 years ago, and they had a very good training camp. Missed his last shot. Yeah, they compared the terrain in Scotland and the facility. Very, very similar to his part of Norway, down in the Stavanger region.
Now Rotman, who started well with that clear shoot, not hanging around here on his first stand. expensive, very expensive indeed. Good to see Schledemark, Mike, who's gone through for Greenland, 26.50. First time we've seen him on the result sheet at all this year. Comes from Nuuk, the capital of Greenland, just travels with his wife and his child on the tour, and then works for the 8 months of the summer flat out to earn enough money to join the tour again. Welcome to Antholz in the north of Italy. If you've just joined us for this second individual race of the season, by individual I mean the 20-kilometre, the long-distance biathlon race. 20 kilometres, 4 chutes. They alternate from prone to standing. And the news is that Rico Gross of Germany is going best of all. Started first, has hit 9 out of 10, has the lead after the second chute, almost at the halfway stage now. 24 minutes, 11 seconds, expecting a winning time of around 52, maybe slightly slower. The altitude may slow us down a bit. 52 to 53, 54?
And possibly, again, is relevant to conditions. I think about 55, 56 minutes.
Well, obviously a lot will depend on the shooting, and the wind is making life very difficult. Krugloff has coped okay so far.
Look at the control that Krugloff has for a young biathlete.
Well, I think he's learned that off his father, an Olympic and a world champion, and he's passed on some of those genes, I think. 0-0, just looking down the record, first man to achieve that so far. So Krugloff will have a very good time indeed. A couple of metres to go before the clock stops for the young Russian, and out he comes. You said he'd be on good form, Mike. I doubted it, and as usual, you're absolutely right. 1:22 inside Pokluka's time and Gross's time, and we have a new leader, Nikolai Krugloff of Russia, who started the season so well up in Oslo. Sherazov, another Russian who did well in Oslo. Maybe we'll see him come through, just checking down the list. But I do notice only 5 Russians racing, Mike, which is unusual.
It is unusual. I believe they can start 7 in this race. Possibly the team or the athletes tiring. And to be honest, they haven't had the most successful season at all from the Russian camp. So maybe they're just resting their athletes. Quite sensible, I think.
Now, Egil Kjelland of Norway. What a good start for the man who's ranked number 4 in the world. Hasn't been out of the top 10 in any race since the 15th of December, and that's an okay start, the same as Raphael Poré, who missed one, the same as Frank Look, or Rico Gross, who missed one on the first shot. I can't get Frank Look out of my mind. I don't know what it is.
I'm just looking further down. Jay Hakkinen, remember, missed 4 targets on his lying down, the prone shoot, but he's cleared. He's hit them all in the standing. It's moved him up into 8th after his first shoot.
Poré already caught a minute on Ricardo Ascari, the Argentinian. Now the Argentine team, Mike, really supported. They're trying to develop the sport in that part of the world, so they get a lot of financial aid to be on the tour. But it's going to be some time before we see them competing with the likes of this man. His third shot, once again, causing a problem for Poré, but he gets it down on this occasion.
Very good control.
That's more like the vintage Poré that we're used to. 9 out of 10, and he closes the gap on the leaders. Krugloff will hold on to the lead at the moment. Rico Gross at 24.11. It's going to be close, but Poré still has 30 metres or so to cover before the clock stops. 24.10, just 1 second inside. 2 of the biggest names in the game lying 2nd and 3rd at the moment. And interesting to see Poré checking out 4-5 times. He glances over to his right, trying to read the scoreboard that's on the far side of the stadium from the commentary booths.
Pretty good from Lars Berger. He didn't waste any time. You can see the wind is blowing to the right at the end of the rifle and is blowing left at the far end of the range. That's what makes it so difficult. He's having a quick look to think, I'm 20 seconds faster than anyone's ski time.
Well, from one of the quickest Norwegians to the most successful Norwegian, the most successful man ever in World Cup history. 47 World Cup wins. He's going for win number 48 today. Now, Mike, When's he going to crack this 50th?
Well, the strange thing is, Patrick, you know, I remember 3 years ago, the Olympic year, people were saying, could this man possibly ever make 50 World Cup victories? And a lot of the thought then was, no, that's impossible. But he'll do it, I think, by the end of this season.
I think he'll do it by the end of the season. I think he's going to do it at the World Championships in Hochfilzen. I think that would be a great occasion. And I hope they've got something special for him if he does achieve that.
I'm sure they will have. Shikora, that's a pity. One penalty. Still, he could still win with only one missed. In fact, 10 years ago, he won the World Championships here, the 20 kilometre. And really, he's only become, I was going to say, he can't get better than world champion, but consistently, he's improved an awful lot since then.
Just in case you're wondering how they organise the start numbers, they're split into 4 groups, and if you're in the top 30 in the world, you can select which group you want to race in. If you're not, then the team captains must put one of their runners in each of the groups. So with the top 30, you're all electing to go in group number 1 today. The majority go early on, or the majority of the stars go early on. And then if you're not performing and you haven't won yourself any World Cup points, then you find yourself starting in groups 3 and 4 and supposedly getting the worst of the conditions.
Quite possibly. I'm just wondering today, because we're so high and the sun is going to leave the little bit of sun on the tracks, it may get colder and we could see unusually it becoming a little bit faster later. Simon has improved so much. Get another chance to see the problem he had. He ejected a round. Hand feeding, you're allowed to do that. It's the same round that he ejected. Very strong athlete, improved immensely this summer.
Well, the Swiss have improved, but so have the Swedes, perhaps more so. And Nielsen really has shown what he's capable of this year, proved himself very good in the relay races, and it takes a special sort of athlete to put in the good relay results, and Nielsen has impressed so far with those. Now Rico Gross, can he clear his second prone shoot?
Well, the second best shot in the world this year on average since the beginning of the season. That shows how difficult it is today.
Well, he's never won here, Mike. I don't think he's got particularly fond memories. He's been on the podium a couple of times, but Gross has never climbed to the top of the podium in Antholz. What have we got? A problem there?
Certainly doesn't look happy, number 49.
It's Alexander Belenenko of Ukraine.
I think another athlete skied over the back of his skis.
He's got the best shooting record of the season so far, strangely enough, Mike. 92 and 91, just 1% better than Rico Gross in the prone.
But, you know, getting annoyed like that before Belenenko got into position could affect him.
Now, Mickey Grice, the number 3 German on the tour so far, behind Fischer and Rico Gross. Good result here could change that. Good shooting from Mickey Grice, showing great control there. Didn't look to be in a hurry, and he wasn't in a hurry, and I think that's one of the features. If you compare this with the pursuits that we've been watching over recent weeks, everyone taking their time, a lot calmer. It looks as though they're almost out on a training run.
You could just sense when Grice shot there that all 5 were going to be hit. Problems for Sven Fischer, nightmare for Sven Fischer.
Have a look at his face when he comes off this shoot.
What a negative feeling that is. He won here last year, now he's picked up 3 minutes penalty, unlikely to win. And yet the race goes on. He's only skied 8 kilometres of the 20.
Now here we see Belenenko, and he's possibly taken a fall out on the course and damaged, as you can see, the carrying harness. A little bit of zinc oxide tape.
That's not going to work.
I don't think that's going to work too long. He's tied a big knot into the bungee cord. It may work for a while. It's strong stuff, but I think by the end of 20Ks he's going to be doing it again.
Well, he was one of my favourites, Belenenko. He was 13th in Oslo, but let's hope that rifle can hold out.
Looks like a honeycomb, this rifle being used by Pokluka.
Well, you could say if he falls, that is quite likely to break. There's so many holes in it. But he's doing so well. Oh, fantastic.
So 5 out of 5. Mike, interesting to see a lot of the athletes designing their own stocks nowadays. What he's trying to do is just reduce the weight. Obviously, the lighter it is, the easier it is to ski. But there comes a point when if the rifle is too light, you start to lose accuracy.
Indeed you do, and there is a limit of 3.5 kilograms. And quite honestly, I think when it gets down to 3.75 kilograms, you really are on the limit, the physical limit of there being enough weight to keep itself steady. But yes, you do want, you have a feel-good factor if you know your rifle isn't that heavy, especially today, because you certainly feel it as the kilometers click by. The fatigue gets into your legs, your arms, your stomach and your back.
Good to see Mark Walker trailing Egil Kjelland out of the start area as we focus in on Vincent Defrain. Now the French over the last 4 seasons have been very, very good with the rifle, but the standing shoot this year seems to be giving them all a little bit of a problem. Not this time, no.
I like the way Defrain broke the normal rhythm. He went and hit target 4, then 3, and then back to 5. He has had a problem hitting the last one, and maybe that just changes his mindset.
Wolfgang Rottmann settling for his 3rd shoot in the prone, and remember he went clear on the first prone. He's done exactly the same on the second, so he's making up for the mistakes he made on that second shoot, the first of the standing, on a day when the prone should be so much harder. Here comes Rottmann then, looking for that lead time. 36.38 is beyond him. 26 seconds outside, not a bad start. He's got a 4-second lead over Rico Gross, but he must go clear on his second standing shoot if he wants to be in the top 10 today. Not a bad crowd. It's not quite as raucous as we've experienced, certainly in Oberhof and Ruhpolding, but the accessibility of Antholz that much harder than any of the other resorts we've been to so far.
It is more difficult, although a beautiful little village, and the atmosphere down in the village is friendly. Lots of bars and pubs, and yeah, a great feeling.
Well, here's a man who knows these tracks probably better than anyone else, Oliana Bjorndalen. His partner lives just down the road, and they've now got a house. I think they've got houses all over the place, to be honest, but they've got one in this northern part of Italy, and he trains here summer and winter, and so has access to the altitude, so we don't suspect it's going to have too big an effect on him. Now, Nikolai Kruglov clear so far.
Again, look at the control. He just moved his fingers a little bit, the left hand, just to get... Oh, this is good biathlon.
It's absolutely excellent. Kruglov obviously set out with a game plan: ski steady, shoot even steadier, and then just hope that the combination of the two is good enough to win. And look at that time, 2 minutes inside Pokluka. This is obviously going to be the target score. Let's hope he can hold it together on that final shoot.
The strange thing, Patrick, when you've hit 0-0-0, the thought then can become to drop into your head, oh, if I hit the next 5, I can get a medal today, I can do really well today. As long as Kruglov can keep those thoughts away, he could well be #1 on the podium.
Kjelland finding the altitude tough. 3 or 4 breaths in between each shot so far. Twice the normal number for the Norwegian. 4 out of 5 again, so 2 misses so far for Kjelland. It's average performance by his standards, because he's been absolutely brilliant this year. 4th in the World Cup standings, 148 points off the lead, but Kjelland proving to be one of the most consistent Norwegians. And I think if you were to put a relay team and you had 4 Lars Bergers and 4 Egil Kjellands, you'd opt for the Kjellands.
Indeed, over many years he's just been Mr. Steady, Mr. Reliable, and you need reliable athletes in a relay. Hopefully we'll get a chance. The cameraman, I think, is on the wrong target. Well, there we are. That was a good hit. To the left, the wind is coming from the right, makes sense.
Poirier, important moment in his race. Oh.
Well, it's still very good. The great Poirier is great again today in difficult conditions. I like the way he checks out everybody on the scoreboard.
Now, what is Bjorn Dahlen going to do? Is it going to be his day? Looking for win number 48, remember. That is a very good start indeed, and the ski time is quick. Not perhaps as quick as we would have expected, but over the last week or so, we've detected a change in the tactics from Olean and Bjorn Dahlen. He's watched the likes of Poirier and Fischer and decided that it's probably better to set out within your limits. 19 seconds quicker than anyone else, but he is not the full 30-40 that he's capable of being.
Indeed, and that's you've got to be fearful if you're the rest of the world biathlon when you see him taking it easier on himself in the early stages. Well, after the second shoot, if you're Canadian, great day. Robin Clegg is in second place overall. So that's after his first stand after 8 kilometers, 34 seconds behind Kruglov.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Stop, please. Q
Olean and Bjorn Dahlen through the first shoot now. If you're one of his fans, then you'll be delighted to hear that he's gone clear and has the lead by 16 seconds at that first shoot. But a long, long way to go for Bjorn Dahlen. Most of the top names starting earlier. Beautiful footwork to work his way round the corners. Just so smooth, so confident on the ski. But above all else, his balance is absolutely impeccable. Not a single ounce of wasted energy.
Love the way he really pressed the outside edge of his right-hand ski into the snow, getting a positive edge in there. It's not going to slip away.
The regional flag for the South Tyrol, a German-speaking part of Italy, was of course once part of Austria, and the majority of people here bilingual, but in the bars and the hotels, German is the language used. Now, Karl-Johan Bergman. A little bit of a disappointment in Ruhpolding. Clear shoot would really put Bergman back in business. What an excellent start to his race. He's going to come in just outside, or maybe even a second quicker than Nikolai Kruglov of Russia, who's led for some time now after this first shoot. Great to see the names of Clegg and Zhang up there amongst the leaders after 2 shoots, and Bergman goes into second. Excellent start from him.
Well, Bergman had a disappointing Ruhpolding. I think maybe he expected too much because he trains there quite a lot in the summer, and great to see him back today with a vengeance.
Of course, training possible here in Antholz in the summer as well. Not a bad roller ski track, and of course the altitude, if that's what you're after.
Indeed, and many teams do come down here to get that 1600 meters. It changes your blood, you develop more red blood cells, which carry the oxygen and make you faster.
Absolutely spot on, the same as EPO apparently. Boosts the hemoglobin level in the blood, which acts as the transporter for the oxygen, and certainly the effects of altitude training, Mike, are very positive, but if you overdo it, the detrimental effect outweighs that of the positive.
Oh, certainly it can destroy your season. Rico was not happy there after 2 fast first shots. The wind 15 kilometers per hour. Had the power to break his position. Well, that will still be a good score today. 17 hits out of 20.
After the first shoot, Mike, the quickest time, any of the later starters we need to watch out for? We know about Bjorn Dahlen, who's gone through in just over 11 minutes for 4 kilometres, so he's set for a pretty fast time. Mickey Grice of Germany went clear. He's still in second place. Anyone starting later than that who's got a good position at the moment?
It actually seems to be a lot of the earlier starters. Bergman is the lowest number, that's 47 to come through, putting himself into 4th position.
Sikora, Krugloff, Valiulin and Philip Schulman. So not a bad day for the Belarus team and the Russians, but delighted to see the likes of Pakluka in there for Slovenia, Garabik of the Czech Republic, and of course Feriol Canard of France, who's in 11th place after that first shoot. But still, well, there's still a mass of biathletes to come through that stage. 123 starters, of which Sven Fischer, on your screen now, was number 28. 2 shoots completed, but a disaster on that first standing shoot.
Look at his hair blowing in the wind. He's landed unlucky again.
There's not much of it left, Mike. He's thinned out over the last couple of seasons. Fatherhood and the training probably getting the better of Sven. Now this is just what he needs, a clear shoot to boost his morale. He's got it.
What a comeback. Missing 3 the last time. Well done, Sven.
Joe Brooks of Great Britain just coming off the penalty loop before Sven Fischer joins it. So I think those two will have each other's company for, what, 100, 200 metres maybe at the most over the next lap. But Joe's done a lot of work on leg strength this year, which hasn't really produced an immediate result, but may be good in the future. What do you think?
Well, you often see that, and I remember some of the French team a number of years ago worked so much on leg strength, had a relatively unsuccessful season in the first year of that programme, but came through much, much stronger the year after. So I hope that does work for Joe. Today he needs to focus on his shooting, and could certainly place himself at least halfway up the field. Oh, big day for Matthias Pokljuka. I hope this goes well.
73% hit rate in standing over recent weeks. He knows it. He knows it. That is his race thrown away. A top 5 or 6 position possible with 19.
It is windy. Good discipline there. Disappointing. This was his day for the podium. It's still very, very good.
Same number of hits as Raphael Poré, but Poré still one more shoot to go. Pakluka glances over to his right, just hoping that everyone else is missing a mass of targets, but a few have been fortunate. Nikolai Krugloff we know all about. He's gone through the 3rd shoot clear, and will be coming in fairly shortly for that final shoot.
Well, Matthias really fought hard for the last shot, and it paid off.
Vincent Defrain looked very, very good on his first standing shoot. And he's kept the rhythm going. Good stuff. Only 1 miss so far for Defrain, and as you can see, that's going to put him up amongst the top 3. He's going to go ahead of his teammate. That will be a big scalp if he can take that. Not often that the French managed to beat Raphael Poré. Rotman, one more mistake from him, Mike. How's Rico Gross gone? He's through the final shoot by now. He's going to miss 1 more, so a total of 3 misses for Rico Gross. 50-21 his score at the moment, and Rotman, as you can see, inside that and has the fastest time, 49.59. He's seen it, and the eyes straight to the front, and he's suddenly turned up a gear or 2.
Well, let's have a beer to that performance. But yeah, Rotman just rushed his last shot, didn't give it any thought whatsoever, and the shot went wide.
Nikolai Krugloff then for what could possibly be a race-winning shoot. Only man clear after 3 so far.
Strange, you can just have confidence in that position.
This is where the thought is so important.
He's suffering. He's trying to catch his breath.
Oh, congratulations, Nikolai Krugloff. That was absolutely outstanding. Quite why you didn't put some money on him taking the win here today, Mike, I don't know. You said him too well, and he has been quite outstanding. 46.20 on the clock at the moment. Another 4 kilometers to ski for the young Russian, but this is going to be a tough score to beat. And I think Oliana Bjorndalen going to have to shoot 18, possibly even 19 out of the 20 to contend with this ski.
Oh, isn't that just brilliant? A young athlete, but so much maturity and control. He was focused on getting 20 out of 20. He believed it, and it goes a long, long way to making that happen.
Well, he led the World Cup earlier on in the season. He's dropped down to 11th now with some mediocre runs in Oberhof and Ruhpolding. But Krugloff back to his very best form. 2 second places he got at the beginning of the season. But this could well be his first ever win on its way. Early days to say such things, because here is one man certainly capable of beating that time. 22.48. Bjorndalen well inside that. Doesn't need to rush. Impeccable, absolutely impeccable. Still on a high after 2 successes in Ruhpolding. How many successive wins are we going to see? He won the relay for Norway. He then went on to win the sprint and the pursuit. And at the halfway stage, he's going to have a very healthy lead indeed. And Mike, he's got a full minute's advantage. He can afford at least one shot over Krugloff already.
Unbelievable to have taken a minute off Krugloff. It's only 8 kilometers. So it in some ways takes the pressure off Bjorndalen.
What were we saying about him starting slowly?
Well, he's opened up right now, hasn't he? Look at Poirier again. The wind is tripping him up, but he's fighting it. It's worth saving, or wasting if you like, 12 seconds to hit a target, saving you a minute. Brilliant.
It's paid off. So 18 out of 20 for Poirier, still way outside the time set by Krugloff. And good to see that the Russian actually skiing as fast as Poirier. Maybe possibly an indication that that Raphael hasn't recovered from the illness he had last week in Ruhpolding, and certainly with his daughter being ill in hospital, I think there's been plenty of things on his mind, and he's not at his optimum.
That's a valid point. There is an element missing from his skiing, without a doubt. Doesn't have that spark. He started a little sparky, but it's faded.
Rico Gross heading towards the finish now. His last shoot complete, and we're just looking for his shooting score. He's gone through, he's down in 4th position, 3 misses, 3:53 behind Krugloff's time, and a minute slower on the skis than Raphael Poirier. So that's interesting to see that Rico looking tired as well.
Now after the 3rd shoot, there's still some athletes there who have shot the perfect 0:00. Zhang still in 2nd place after the 3rd shoot.
Thomas Sakura trying to make up for lost time, and he certainly rattled those ones down. 5 out of 5, had nothing to lose at that stage. 4 misses in all, and he could find himself sub 58 minutes. He's going to have to turn it on the last loop, but a good run from Sakura. 3:20 outside the best, so only 20 seconds slower than Nikolai Krugloff, so he's skiing at a competitive rate.
It is indeed. He had 3 penalties though in the pro and was very windy when he came in, Sakura, but this man dealt with the wind perfectly. I wonder if this is the winning time, Patrick, we're watching. Possibly not, with Robin Clegg 0:00, so he's still to come in for his standing, and also Zhang, although Zhang's missed 1:0, but 2nd place to Krugloff. Amazing, 22-year-old Zhang from China.
And skiing very quickly indeed. As you said, he's missed 1, and he's only 25 seconds behind Krugloff. So if Zhang can keep this sort of pace going, we'll keep our eyes out for him. The cameras haven't tuned in on Zhang and his achievements as yet. He started number 42, trains in Dalian, place that used to be called Qingziwa but then I discovered that was in 1880, so it wasn't too relevant. But all the Chinese, Mike, training in the same area. I guess in a country that size, it's sensible to centralise to one training resort.
And there's not that many of them do it, as Bergman is going to hit his last shot. Well, this could match or beat Krugloff. Does need to ski faster. He's probably, what, 15 seconds slower? Yes, the Chinese, they seem to have a real energy going now. There's Zhang, only 22 years old, second place after the third shoot. Quite amazing. They really are developing their athletes.
Well, I think we saw that at the Summer Games in Athens. The Chinese finishing second on the medal table there. Rico Gross, Mike, coming out 1:01.10. You're absolutely right. The time a little slower. Altitude getting to these athletes. Remember the winning time in Oslo, just over 51 minutes. And Antholz last year 56.32. So Rico Gross, I think below par. He looked to have started easy, but I think maybe he was going flat out and just not feeling 100%. 3 misses for Gross.
Poirier keeping it steady. He knows he must keep the pace pretty strong. He's not going to catch those 2 minutes and 9 seconds, but he could certainly get in the top 3.
Now Mickey Grice. Top 5 still possible. Frank Ulrich disgusted by that, but conditions aren't easy. I think it's just a little bit of frustration really rather than anger, and Mickey Grice comes out 140 off the pace in 7th position at the moment. 50 athletes or so have gone through this stage, so that's not a bad run from Mickey Grice. Rishenkov of Belarus, 3-3 early on, really ruining his chances of putting in a good run, but he's stuck with it. And he's come in with a time just 2 minutes and 7, slower than the best. So skiing pretty fast, but mistakes early on. Rishenkov, to be honest and to be fair to him, had very tough conditions indeed as he shot.
He did, but it makes me look at the times, and Rico Gross has skied way off par, if Rishenkov's ski time is anything to go by.
Now Fischer back on his firing point again. 3 misses with his last stand. Seems to hold that right elbow a little higher than everyone else, Mike. It's pretty much level with the shoulder, and you can almost see it moving and straining to stay there.
I don't understand the principle or not the print. I understand the principle, but when you're using so much muscle to keep your elbow high, Poirier does it. Bjorn Dahlen does it as well. Keeps his right elbow high. I prefer, and most biathletes do, just to let your shoulder relax, let the weight of your arm rest down on the rifle. But it works for Sven. What a comeback to miss 3 on his first stand, then shoot everything before and after that perfectly. But he'll look at it tonight and think, well, for that heavy wind when I came in, it could be so different.
Well, here's Nikolai Krugloff getting the encouragement from the Russian coaching team, and so he should. It's been an absolutely unbelievable performance from him. We thought, or I thought at least, that his form was slipping, and certainly his performances over the last couple of weeks have not been anything like as good as we saw in Oslo at the beginning of the season. But Krugloff has stayed calm, skied well, but his shooting has been exemplary. And Mike, it was all about discipline today.
Oh, beyond unbelievable, the discipline from Krugloff. As another great shot comes in, but no, 17 out of 20.
Derkach, who comes from a place called Chernigov in the Ukraine, just 50 miles or so to the east of the Chernobyl nuclear power station. Wonder what he has to say about that, although it was a long time ago. Here comes Derkach out, misses early on, costing him dear. Pokluka, who started okay, missed 1 in the first stand, missed 2 in the second stand, but is still only 57 seconds down off that lead of Rico Gross at the moment. A very good ski indeed from Pokluka.
I'm delighted to see that. Matthias Pokluka, he's been around a long time in biathlon, and so nearly getting himself way much further today, but for the last visit in the shooting.
31-year-old Wolfgang Rottmann, 39 seconds ahead of Rico Gross. He's delighted with that, but it could have been so much better. A mistake in that first stand. He missed 2, and Rottmann knew that his chances of a win pretty much evaporating at that stage. Vincent Defrain to keep it at 19 out of 20. 1 to go.
Oh, how many times do we see Defrain under extreme pressure, missing the last shot? I think he just tries to get rid of it, tries to rush it, and it doesn't work. Kruglov had the amazing control to keep stable.
Is there an answer to that, a solution to the sort of the nerve of that 5th shot?
I think there is. I really believe there is, and it's all to do with the mind. Just don't count your shots, don't treat it as your last shot, just treat it as another shot. Try and, it's really, you really have to try and keep that, the importance of it away from your mind.
You've got to go some way to stop yourself being able to count up to 5, though.
You can become in a state of almost total relaxation. You can do it.
Well, a couple of 100 metres, if that, left for Nikolai Kruglov up this last climb, but by this stage of the race feeling very steep, but he's completed that. Breaks right into the penultimate straight now. One more turn to go for Kruglov. If he can stay clean, he's certainly going to beat the leading time set by Wolfgang Rottmann of 1:00:48, but Kruglov is way inside that. He can fall, he can do backflips, anything he likes. He's got the fastest time, 0:00:00. Clean sheet for Kruglov, 57:32. Outstanding stuff, and he takes the lead, and that could well put some money on it being in the top 3, but I can only see one man out in the field at the moment who's realistically threatening it. If Robin Clegg of Canada can stay clean and up his pace a little, he could possibly catch him, but Bjorn Dahlen, I think, is going to have to go some to catch that time. A brilliant run from Nikolai Kruglov.
Clegg was on the range, Patrick, as you were talking. I saw he missed 1. In fact, Clegg missed 2, putting him down into 4th place, but still fantastic performance from Robin Clegg. 0:00:02 for Clegg, and again just maybe letting the pressure of the final 5 shots get to him a little bit, but it's still very good from Canada. Now Hjelland.
Oliana Bjorndalen in the top right-hand corner of your screen. No misses so far for Bjorndalen. Has another look at the wind. He's got a problem with the mechanics. That may be an advantage. May just slow him down a little. Resettle for this 5th shot. No hurry at all for Bjorndalen. Skiing so well. Should he miss a target, it will all change, but he's gone clear. 15 out of 15 for the Norwegians so far. We'll get a split time from Bjorn Dahlen in just a moment. Hjelland going out of the range area. 3 misses in all, and 49.42. Good enough for top 5. As you can see, Robin Clegg down in 4th position. Raphael Perret exiting the range area as well, with 2 misses. In fact, he's coming into the finish now. My mistake. 59.30. He's going to be just under the 1 minute mark. He'll go into 2nd place behind Kruglov. But that's the name of the game, isn't it, Mike? He can miss 2 and still get a top 5 result. Zhang of China now. How has his race finished? 9.4 seconds outside. The fastest skier so far. He's amazing. He's only got 9.5 to win the race so far. Now, I can't remember a time that we've picked up on him before. What do you make of his technique?
His knees do slope in just a little bit, but he's got incredible power. It's a sparky technique. It's a fast tempo. But look at this 22-year-old. This man's a star, and probably a star for many, many years to come.
Well, very, very important that biathlon keep bringing new nations in. We spoke about the Argentinians, but they haven't really got anyone of Zhang's quality. That is an astonishing ski. Here comes number 22, Thomas Sikora, who's had a good ski, but that 3 misses on the second of the prone shoots, costing him dear. A 57.43 would have been a very promising time indeed, would have given him a top spot ahead of Krugloff, but it hasn't happened. But take heart from the fact that Sikora is skiing as fast as he's done all season. Are we about to see our second clear shoot? Very old Canard.
Well, his technique is, his position is very hunched in the right shoulder. But it certainly is stable. You can see the wind in his hair. It's gusting quite heavily. Control. Oh. Well, 19 out of 20 is very good today. But I'm sure he'll be very disappointed if he'd hit that other shot. He'd be in third place right now as he leaves the range.
Yeah, if he finds that that costs him a podium position, I think Canard will be absolutely furious. But as you say, Mike, 19 out of 20, very good in these circumstances. That was partly the wind. There was a gust blowing through as he got to his third shot, but I think that the mind game playing, getting the better of the Frenchman once again. Now let's have another look at Zhang. Have a look at his technique. Nice steady upper body, immensely strong in the legs. That enormous amount of power coming out of the legs. He's starting to tie up a little, but there's no surprise there.
I have a feeling that Krugloff pushed so hard in his last 4 kilometers that Zhang will find it difficult to stay with that. Look at Bjorn Dahlen's time though.
38.05 for Krugloff. Bjorn Dahlen at one stage, at the halfway stage, was a minute inside. He's now over that, a minute and a half, but he can still only afford one more shot. There's nothing he can do. I can't see him gaining another 30 seconds. Bergman, the third man to have a go at going clear. 17 out of 17, and he has frozen just like Canard.
Good, he's breathing very heavily in between shots. Last one.
Watch the end of the barrel, see how much movement there is. A lot of movement, and he threw that one away. That was in the bag for the taking. Bergman has thrown an opportunity of another podium finish. That's a real shame, Mike. The rifle never settled.
It didn't settle, and you saw the rifle, the end of the barrel, really jump up when he pulled the trigger. It was like a nervous twitch, a nervous snatch at the trigger.
Now, Zhang needs some support out on the track. He's starting to look tired, but he's possibly heading for his first podium. That would be the first Chinese male to finish on the podium at any stage of biathlon. They've had a couple of women who've done very well, in particular Lu this year, who's going well, and Shumai Yu a couple of seasons ago, who got a win in Holmenkollen. But Zhang could possibly finish in the top 3.
Now Mickey Grice can still put himself in potential third position, but has to move some. No chance of that now. Oh, and the last shot as well. It's not easy, the wind is blowing, and you have skied 16 kilometers in very undulating, hilly terrain. But these are the men that are trained for this. Mickey Grice is just maturing well. He wants a World Cup victory this year. That's what he's set out to do, and I think he'll do it before the end of the season, but not today.
3:36, 4 misses though, so he's half a minute or so just under that faster than the current leader, Krugloff of Russia, but Krugloff has gone clear. Fischer clear on 3 of the 4 shoots. That's first standing shoot. Have you an opinion as to what went wrong there, Mike? It was the first 3 shots that went wide, and then he settled back into his rhythm.
Well, we saw that in Oberhof in the relay. He came in and it wasn't horrific conditions. He really made a mess of it. I noticed then his feet were close together. I couldn't see it this time. Possibly just the wind in this situation, because he was taking his time, and it just didn't come together. Daniel
Graf of Germany, who had a good week in Ruhpolding, his spirits high, and with just 2 misses so far, he's looking competitive. Into 19th place after World Cup points. That's what it's all about for the youngsters in the German team. Win some points, close the gap down on the old sweats, the likes of Gross and Fischer. And Graf has looked impressive over the last couple of weeks. Who knows, he may get that last slot in the German team for the World Championships coming up in March.
Absolutely. Just looking down, the best Italian from Ruhpolding, remember, Vulemo came third in the 10 kilometre, but he's down in 31st after the third shoot. But significantly, he's missed 4 targets.
Still waiting to get the latest news on Zhang. We'll try and update you on his split time as he approaches the stadium. He's on his last loop now. He's gone through 17.5 kilometres and he's still in second place, just 3.5 seconds off Nikolai Krugloff. He was 20 seconds or so behind. This is an astonishing ski. He's got another 800 metres or so to go. He should be into the stadium in the next minute and a half at the very most. And what a historic moment that would be for Zhang and the Chinese team. A chance of taking the lead, and if he does so, it will be all eyes on Ole Einar Bjorndalen for his last shoot, because Bjorndalen, if he goes clear, will seal this one, but he cannot afford more than one miss.
Well, Mesutic, as you mentioned earlier, he's won here before, and so far so good. It's perfect shooting.
Vincent de Fra, who, as you can see, missed 1 and 1 in the first and the last shoot, and was just inside Poiret's time when he came through. 59.37. If he wants to take the scalp of the best Frenchman, he's going to do that quite comfortably. Good run. Vincent de Fra will be delighted with that, and he's not so far off the leaders. 180, what is it, a little over that. Now here is Zhang, starting to look very tired, wearing 42, 2.5 seconds off the lead of Nikolai Krugloff as he went through 17.5. The last 2.5 kilometres have hurt, the worst of all, and he's still got to make the climb up into the stadium. Now, has he got enough in the tank, Mike? Krugloff looks strong over the finish, very strong in the last 500 metres or so, and Zhang is going to have to match him.
Well, when you're chasing a first ever victory and you're racing for China, you've got to think, well, the man is inspired, and I would expect him with 2.5 kilometres to go to catch Krugloff's time. Only 3.5 seconds to make up in 2.5 kilometres. But who knows, Zhang is tired out there. Hannevold, the great, missing 3 today. Zhang has certainly modelled his skiing off Poiret and Bjorndalen.
Nice upright body, and I think he looks even stronger in the lower limb department than the likes of Bjorndalen. I don't think he's quite as fluent, but as you say, very explosive, and it's having good effect here. Maybe it's just the fact that we're at altitude and he's done a lot of altitude training, maybe the fact that conditions suiting him down to the ground. It doesn't matter. He is on the verge of taking a win here in Antholz. It's going to be a nervy 20 minutes or so while he waits for the rest of the field to finish. Clegg, who started so brilliantly, 3 clear shoots, but 2 misses in the last stand, showing that he is susceptible to the nervy occasion, just like the majority.
Well, Robin Clegg, he watched the Olympics over in Canmore, his hometown, when he was 8 years old, and he's really maturing well as a biathlete. Fantastic effort, Robin Clegg. Well, the last 2 targets missed, he will be furious.
125 behind would have put him into the top 3, so possibly missing a chance. Just looking at the last finish now. Bjorndalen needs 5 for certain victory, 4 and it's still on the cards. If he misses 2, he's in trouble. Crucial shot. Down down it goes. The race surely is going to go to Ole Einar Bjorndalen. 20 out of 20. It's not so often that he goes clear. He gets plenty of wins, but it's usually on the back of his ski speed. Today, he is going to destroy the heart of one Zhang of China, who's coming in 57.32. The last 2.5 kilometers has been as quick as the rest. An outstanding run. 10 seconds inside Krugloff. The crowd get to their feet, and so they should. That is an outstanding performance.
That is an amazing performance. We heard from Torstein Walter earlier in the season, the Chinese don't have the waxing technicians, the experts that most other teams have. But so you would expect their equipment not to be as good, but brilliant.
Well, Bjorndalen, as you may have seen, can afford to lose 2 minutes on the last loop. They're doing a quick test, taking the blood there, and it's all about checking the lactate levels just to see what he's been running at, what he can cope with. The training, the learning never stops.
The learning never stops. The Chinese team are on a mission. And the second place, well, I say second place, Zhang is leading as he came in, but this man is still out there, Ole Einar Bjorndalen. Zhang looks so muscly. His upper body has been well built for the double poling.
Well, there are the standings at the moment. Zhang, Krugloff, De Vrij. We said you get some strange results here in Antholz, and today is proving that very fact. Zhang leading, but Bjorndalen heading home 2 minutes in hand, having shot clear today. Antholz in Italy. We're now well into this men's individual 20-kilometer race. Feriol Canard, 19 out of 20, just threw away his last shot. A real shame for the Frenchman. 1:00:48 the time, 6th position, and a competitive run from Canard. But really, the big story of the day is all about Zhang of China, who has the lead at the moment. We don't think he's going to keep it, but he's almost certainly going to finish on the podium, Mike, which is also a first for the Chinese.
Yeah, quite amazing day for China, Chinese biathlon, and the 22-year-old Zhang. Absolutely amazing. Kept his cool in the last shoot. Missed one target in the first prone, but he's not going to win because Ole Einar Bjorndalen is on the track, and even a fall, we've seen this man fall in Oberhof, which cost him second place, put him down to fourth, but even a fall today should still keep him in number one position.
Have a look how Bjorndalen stamps the foot down and forwards each time, left in particular, just to make sure he gets maximum glide out of the ski.
Look at that time. That time is amazing. You know, the rest of the world of biathlon, every other man, the 123 other athletes must be thinking, how is it possible to beat this man Bjorndalen on his best day?
I think one of the factors here, Mike, is that Bjorndalen does do a lot of training here. He lives just down the road for much of the summer months, and he's used to these tracks. He knows them. I don't think he'll be intimidated by going to Antholz, which a lot of teams are. There's always talk, oh, we've got Antholz next, it's going to be so hard. Bjorndalen, he doesn't think that way.
No, you're right. He has a different thought pattern completely, and training here in the summer does help. Basing himself, great for Bergman as well.
Good comeback after the disappointment of Ruhpolding for Bergman. That may well improve his World Cup standing, so almost certainly improve his position. He's in 15th place at the moment, but remember, he finished 60th in the sprint in Ruhpolding, didn't bother to start the pursuit, and he's come here and recorded what is possibly a top three. Likely to be pushed down into 4th position, because this man is just cruising to victory here in Antholz. I'm afraid when number 66 of the 123 starters crosses the line, the game is over.
It's technique, Bjorndalen, as we saw him there. He's loving his biathlon right now. Well done, Sweden again. Bergman didn't do so well last week, but has come straight back in Antholz.
Well, that decision not to race in the pursuit has certainly paid off. He looks much fresher today, obviously very settled in his mind. Good shooting score for Bergman. One miss. Had he hit that, he would have gone into, in fact, he'd still have been in 3rd place, because Krugloff taking over a minute out of the Swede in the skiing.
Good chance to see this steep climb as well. We've just gone back to Grei's finishing.
4 misses. incurring the wrath of Frank Ulrich on the German scope. And 3:53 outside, still skiing the same speed as Krugloff and Poiret, so the ski form is not a problem. Maybe just needs to, what would you say, a little dry shooting or a rest?
It's difficult to rest each day with so many races, but yeah, I mean, I think I would just leave the rifle in the cupboard tomorrow and just ski instead of training, just to be fresher on it, to have a break and come back in strong. But everyone has different ways of dealing with poorer form. The wind is a big factor today, though. That is the main factor for the shooting performances, dealing with the power of the wind.
Well, we're watching Brian Ferry come in, Bjorn Ferry, I should say.
Was he not?
I'm sure he won't be too offended with that.
But Bjorn is a good singer as well, actually. He really is. He's an entertainer.
What other training can they do? What cross-training techniques do you advise? Not for the skiing in particular, but for the shooting. Any other sports, any other games that you get into?
It's a good point, actually. I used to find playing darts, that's throwing darts at the wall, or table football, or anything that's eye, hand, finger coordinated. It really does help your shooting.
And mental as well, like the shooting. Now, Daniel Graf, big moment for him. Top 10 on the cards. Well, it was. I think that was into the woods at the back of the range. He snatched that like no one else has done today, and he finishes with 2002.
And Frank Ulrich there taking the scores. He knows how to handle that pressure because he's been there. He's been world champion. And you could see him, because he's angry, he knows how to do it himself, and he's trying to teach his younger biathletes to do just the same.
Well, let's see where those shots of Graf went. First three were okay.
I would imagine they'll be high. So we're not going to see them. Chepikov.
Here's another man you thought would do well today, and he's not done too badly. Good odds of 20-1 on Chepikov today. Well, he wouldn't expect someone of Chepikov's experience to miss that, but the fourth shot, to be fair, was very, very close. Sounded like a 50-50 shot, and the fifth one, as you saw, going wide. Now, Mesetic. The Austrian's doing much better today, Mike. Suman's gone okay. Mesetic has done excellently. He's one of those men who enjoys racing here at Antholz, obviously having that win a few years ago, and something about the course, the altitude, that just suits him.
It's incredible, absolutely. And maybe the memory of his victory here, you think, well, I've done it here before. If I focus today, I can do it again. That's a good performance. Very good. So he knows exactly where he is, looking at the scoreboard. And he knows he has to up the tempo now to move forward. Has to pick up 12 seconds to move up into fourth place.
Bjorn Dahlin heading towards the finish. I don't think there's much doubt that he's going to take the lead. But now, Hallenbatter, along with Simon, putting in much better performances this year. It's good to see the Swiss coming back to form. Big drive on, of course, for next year's Olympic Games in Torino.
Well done, Simon Hallenbatter. Good experience. He's totally furious with himself.
It's interesting to see when they miss a shot other than the fifth shot, Mike. There's always a delay before they get the next one down. The confidence just rattled a little, and it's when you see the likes of Bjorn Dahlin, as long as they know it's not the wind, he'll keep the same sort of rhythm. Keep trying to keep that same routine that you do in training. It really is the best way. 57.21, the time set by Zhang. 57.32 for Krugloff. Both very impressive runs indeed, but nothing quite in the same league as this man. Ole Einar Bjorndalen getting huge support from the locals. He spends a lot of his time, as we've said, down in this part of the world, and he will relish this victory more than any other so far this season. Bjorndalen started his season off in Oslo, where he got the perfect sprint run. Now he's got the perfect individual as well. 2:33 inside the rest of the field. Unbelievable. That is the smile of a winner on his Manchester skis, straight into the arms of Natalie Santa, who's no doubt enjoyed this one. I wonder whether she can match that performance tomorrow. I think it's unlikely.
It's unlikely, but who on the planet right now could match that performance? I can't think of any time in my years in biathlon where 2:33 is the margin between first and second. At the moment it might change, but this is a great performance.
Interesting to see the Manchester rep straight over there, Mike, to take the skis, protect the ones that are so good, and then they just give them a pair off the shop wall to walk around with and display. But they are a precious commodity, because I tell you what, put any of the other skiers on these and they'd probably take 30-45 seconds off their time.
Do you know, I think you're right in that statement there, maybe even more, because he does have fantastic equipment and he's a fantastic biathlete, so he deserves it. But the sponsors do look after the best, and that's the way the world works. Chepikov, it's very good. In 10 days' time, this man is 38 years old, Chepikov. Fifth, I think he'll be happy with that so far.
So Bjorndalen off to no doubt have a chat with the Norwegian press. He'll get some food into him as quickly as possible. What's so important about these races here at Antholz is to speed up the recovery. So a little bit of carbohydrate intake and some fluid just to aid the recovery over the next 24 hours or so. Quite a tough programme here in Italy for this particular week. The women's individual race tomorrow, and then the men are back in action on Friday in the sprint discipline, and then they've got a sprint on Sunday. So in some ways the men have a slightly easier programme than the women, although one day's less rest from Sunday's action.
Indeed, but it's you don't recover as quickly up here. The valley where most of the teams are accommodated, or Antholz Mittertal, it's still at 1,300 metres, so you don't recover that quickly.
Well, there you see the standings at the finish, and we can't see the top position changing. Maybe someone will have a crack at Zhang. We'll keep an eye out for those who've started later on, if anyone's going particularly well. Impressive runs from Rotman and Ferry. Personal best, I think, for the season from Ferry, who's shown in different form with the rise of the other two Swedes, Nielsen and of course Bergman. There's Nielsen in 18th, Petr Garabik of the Czech Republic 19. 5 misses for Sergei Rozhkov, who has won here before, but he's way off the pace today.
The Mediterranean as it once was.
Sergei Konovalov of Russia just going through, looking a little bit laboured. Interesting to see how far apart his legs are. Mike, we didn't see much of Lars Berger today, who started early on. I know he had misses in the early shoots. Any update on his performance?
Lars
not in the top 20 at the moment.
After the fourth shoot, Yeah, 21st after the fourth shoot, then he skied fast on the last leg and got himself up to 17th.
So 6 misses in all for Berger today, so I guess that's fairly standard, but he's a man for the sprints. I don't think the individual race will ever suit the likes of Berger and, of course, Frode Andersen, who is also on the start list today. Starting later on, Andersen out of favour with the Norwegian coaches at the moment, and so we'll try and update you when we get news of his performances. He was number 84.
In fact, yes, here he is. After the third shooting, Frode Andersen, he's missed 5 and down in 39th place. So from a late start, that's... yeah, 39th. He can still pull back if he shoots well on his standing.
So he's out of the World Cup standings at the moment, the point winnings. And as far as we can see, there will be no change at the top of the order. Just before this race, Poiré on 502, Fischer on 440, and Bjorndalen on 403. Bjorndalen likely to go up to 453. So Fischer has got to get 13 points from today's race. There's a chance that second and third could change.
That'll keep the fight alive. Look at this young German Volschlager. Oh. Well, he's famed for his fast shooting, but the discipline there to take it steady when the wind was variable makes good sense.
As the years have gone by, the penalty in the individual, since they introduced the 2-2 rifle, has really become more and more severe, because they're skiing faster and faster. What was a course that used to take an hour and 5 now just takes 50 to 55 minutes, and the penalty has remained the same. So the shooting becomes more important, and therefore you've got to learn to shoot slightly differently. You've got to take your time.
Yeah, and you can see that biathletes are focusing on that. They certainly today, especially with the wind, you have to build that position in the stand. You have to make sure you're rock solid, position stable before you put the rifle into position and squeeze the trigger. But I'm thinking back to the Olympics 92, the winning time there was 55 minutes. The Olympics 88, the winning time 56 minutes.
Simon coming in for Belarus, 6 misses in all. Have a look at his technique. He's finished now, but he's one of those skiers who brings the feet very close together in between each stride, just as does number 67, which is the American, Jeremy Thiele, coming through. A big recovery. Compare that to Hannavold, who never gets his feet within 2 feet of each other. It's very, very different indeed. What did you favour? Did you prefer the gliding, the full recovery, or the hard work, the lactate building style?
Sadly, the lactate building style, and I think it's maybe to do with balance. If you can bring your foot underneath your weight effectively, you're balancing on a very fine point. Whereas if you're keeping them wider, maybe you don't quite have the same confidence in your own balance.
I think it's also a case of getting caught on that one leg. A lot of people who try to bring the leg all the way in, then lean the upper body to compensate, and you actually get stuck. And each stride you take, you're wasting maybe 0.1, 0.2 of a second with no power going in, because you're waiting for yourself to get off that ski again.
Indeed, and the muscles in your back and your hips to counterbalance, as you say. And I think that is the factor. It's all down to balance. Chepikov, as ever, impressing me. But he'll be so unhappy he missed the last shot, because if anybody in this world of biathlon is good on the last shot, Chepikov is that man.
Well, I think he could well have found himself in 4th place had he hit that shot, but he hasn't, and now he's racing to get inside Bergman's time. In fact, he may well make the top 4 anyway. Great run from Chepi. The old-timer is back in business. 4th position, just ahead of Bergman, and well, he's still 4 minutes off the pace, and he's been beaten by the youngest member of the team, Nikolai Kruglov, but I don't think Chepikov will mind that. That is a race that proves to the Russian selectors that they have to bear him in mind when it comes to the World Championship individual.
And in an article recently, Chepikov, someone was asking, are you still inspired with biathlon? Do you still love it? Are you going to the Olympics? And he said, I absolutely do. I want to go to the Olympics. He said, but we have a great young team coming through. And as it happens, Chepikov this season has been about their best. The young athletes, of course, Kruglov today is brilliant, 3rd place, but they really have been up and down in performance, not great consistency.
but that's the noticeable thing, is that they're young, just like their cross-country skiers. As we watch Mesicic coming in, another very respectable run indeed for the Austrian. He's got himself into 6th position, just behind Bergman of Sweden. 4:28 the difference. Those one missed shots we've seen from a number of skiers now. Mesicic, who's just finished, and Karl-Johan Bergman just missed one. Zhang just missed one. I don't think it's going to have affected Zhang's position, but everyone else dropping down out of podium finishes. Only one clear shoot that I can see, in fact 2 clear shoots of course, because Krugloff went clear and the best in the world went clear as well, Ole Einar Bjorndalen.
How does he do that?
The Olympic champion from 1998, Halvard Hannevold, comes in just over the hour, 5:30 behind, and still in the top 10 positions, just behind Poiré. He's done his selection, hopes no harm at all with that performance. So no change in the top 3 positions, but Sergei Chepikov has come in and stolen 4th place off Karl-Johan Bergman. The Swede won't mind too much. It's still a very good run by him. Nice to see the Austrians on the front sheet of the results, and of course the 2 Frenchmen with Vincent Defrant heading Raphael Poiré for a change.
Well, that is a turnaround, and they both had the same shooting penalties, Poiré and Defrant. Yeah, Defrant's having a fantastic season. Who's this? Joe Brooks. Joe looks to be skiing very well, but he's sadly missed a number of targets out there.
Just seems to be lacking a little bit of power, to be honest, Mike. He was skiing well early on. I think he's getting tired, but there's no shame in that at this stage of the race. Just maybe paced it a little bit hard. But coming in for is that going to be his last shoot? He must be on his way for his last shoot.
Indeed, and he's gone 1-3-0.
So stand the problem at the moment. Well, the only man on the range at the moment. So how can the Britain do? 4 misses so far. A clean sheet would be...
Standing normally isn't his strong point. Come on, Joe. Frustration. It wasn't really that windy, so Joe will be disappointed with that. Doesn't really know what went wrong there, and it is a factor. Sometimes you feel you're in position, you feel it's going well, but just not connecting. Trigger, eye, sight to target.
Should he have broken the chute? What should he have done there? There didn't seem to be enough thought going into that. I'm being highly critical, but really 4 out of 5 misses is not good enough, because the conditions now have settled a little.
Yeah, I think it's a confidence problem there, to be honest, Patrick.
Yeah.
With a 55% hit rate in the standing, you know that there's no background for self-belief. But that can change. You can easily change that with some drills, with some different attitude towards coming into the range, and you can turn that around.
Well, let's hope that's what happens. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be back. So, Christoph Suman, another of those who has suffered at the hands of the Antholz wind, the altitude playing its part as well. A tough, long climb up into this range in Antholz, and we seldom see the shooting standard that we get in Ruhpolding the previous week, and once again that's held true this year. So far only 2 men clear after 4 shoots. Krugloff of Russia the first to do it, and surprisingly in some ways Bjorndalen the man to match him.
Surprisingly, in some ways, yes. When Bjorndalen is focused, he will hit the targets. He didn't do it at the Olympics when he took his gold medal. I believe he missed 2 on that day, but when he's focused, he can bring an amazing performance out of himself, and that's why he's a champion. Petr Garabik, having missed Oberhof and Ruhpolding's, come back from the Czech Republic, and so far 21st position. I think he'll be quite happy with that, having had a break. fact, it's down in 22nd position now. And Matthias Pokljuka, who was doing so well early on in the race, he's down in 23rd. But World Cup points, and I think he'll be very happy with that.
So Stian Ekhoff coming in, a very disappointing day for the Norwegian, but the Norwegian team will be delighted with the way that Bjorn Dahlen has gone. He's notched up his 48th World Cup win. Difficult conditions here in Antholz. We're going to take our leave. The race pretty much over. No one from the later start orders is going to threaten that lead of Bjorn Dahlen. We'll estimate that Zhang stays in second. A historic day for